Oh, dang it. I got the... got the
pants
thing.
The pouch. What is it called?
The poke.
The
Cow poke.
The bulge.
The bulge. Ooh.
Battle of the Bulge.
Battle of the Bulge. Not at all what we thought it was. Just two Spaniards. The rest is history.
Welcome to Whiskey Bits,
With Matt and Phil.
where we sip on everyday whiskeys.
And find the funny in our everyday lives.
Speaking of history,
Speaking of...
we're gonna sample James E. Pepper's 1776 rye tonight.
Was that the intro?
It worked out really well.
Do you know why I said Spaniards, though?
No.
Because they wore tight pants back in the day. The
Oh.
tight white The things that go through my head.
Should we have a different beginning?
No, I think it was great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So James E. Pepper, 1776.
So you were saying
rye. Yes, the 1776 rye. So this one is so James E. Pepper.
Is it James E. Pepper? The second episode is always the funnest, hardest, most interesting.
Can we start over?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we're starting over. James E. Pepper.
I'm gonna edit this podcast.
You want this to be out. Okay. James E. Pepper.
So today we're gonna sample the James E. Pepper 1776 rye. This one comes to us from Lexington, Kentucky, where the James E. Pepper distillery is located. The juice inside this actually is an MGP product that comes from Indiana. So it's sourced there and then put into the bottle down in Kentucky.
Can you just real quickly explain, mostly for me, but in case there's anybody out there that's like, what the heck's MGP? Because I think about that a lot. I'm like, I don't really get it.
Yeah, they're the largest producer of grains. And so...
Like farming?
Yeah, so the grains that come in and get distilled for whiskey, a majority of it comes from Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Southern tip of Indiana.
Okay.
Yep, just outside of Kentucky. And so they have a huge facility where they distill a ton of whiskey and other spirits.
Okay, so they're doing other stuff
too. Yep.
So are they doing certain blends, or is it just...
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So a lot of times the distiller will say, this is the blend we want to use. But they're not going and getting that stuff and creating that blend and doing that stuff because they just don't have the capacity to do that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're. It's like so when I owned the pickle company, we had a co-packer.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't grow,
You didn't grow the pickles.
I didn't grow the pickles. I didn't actually physically bottle them myself. We had a packer that did that.
Yeah.
His name was Todd.
No.
Todd Packer.
Darn it, you stole my joke. I was totally.
Were you going to do that one?
Todd Packer,
man, see, if I just shut up.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
So MGP, what does it stand for? More grain products.
Yeah.
Really?
What did we say? If I don't know the answer, I'm just not going to say anything.
So we don't know what it is.
I don't remember the exact. Somebody will know. You can look it up.
Just look it up, people.
It's known as MGP, and it's the largest producer of. And in fact, I would say that most of these whiskeys here probably came from MGP. A lot of them probably did.
But when
Likely.
I
Maybe.
hear MGP, and this isn't an episode about MGP, but when I hear MGP, I think, oh, okay, it removes some of the uniqueness in my mind. I could be completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But then I go to, like, for example, there's a place near us in Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
They get the grain from the local farmers.
Mm-hmm.
They actually distill it there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the places that, High West we've been to, or Journeyman, they actually do the distilling themselves.
Yeah.
So what is that? Like, why would somebody choose not to? It's like, because James E. Pepper is very old, which we're going to hear about.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they decide, we'll let somebody else do it for such a successful company?
Well, they do some of their own.
Okay.
We've tried another pepper, James E. Pepper. In fact, I think it was it was another rye. It was a different rye, a barrel pick.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. That one's actually distilled. Everything is done in Lexington,
In-house.
in Lexington, Kentucky,
Okay.
where they take the grains, they mix all that stuff up together.
Yeah.
They distill it and go, and that's totally. And then they bottle or barrel it, age it, take it out. But it's mostly their single barrel or their barrel picks or kind of their special stuff that they do.
Right.
The other stuff that they want to put out there, a lot of that stuff comes from MGP. And
I maybe I didn't fully get it, but last question. They can say, "Hey, I want a 33% corn, a 33% rye, and a mixture of this." So they can get that specific and place that order, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So that to me is like, okay, at least they could. It's not just like, "Hey, no, these are the things we do. There's 10 options. Pick one." To me, I'd be like, "Well, that's lame." But like, if I can customize it and be like, "Hey, can you make this for me?"
Yeah.
Then I would want to know what's the water and all that kind of stuff.
Right. And that's the difference is so once it's distilled, it then goes into barrels and gets shipped to wherever it's going to go. So in this case, it goes down to their rick houses.
Okay.
Where they store it. And then when it comes out of the barrel, they're adding the water to proof it down. And it's
it's
then
just
becomes
getting
their
it to
stuff.
that white dog stuff.
Correct.
The mash.
Exactly. And that's the hardest part. It's creating that mash bill, going through that whole process, because that takes, if a brand like James E. Pepper wants to put out 5 or 6 variations of whiskey, they're not going to be able to do it in their small sort of craft distillery. So they were one of the first distilleries in Kentucky. They were the 5th. Actually,
okay,
fifth in Kentucky. So they've been around for a very long time. But their stuff is a little bit smaller, and I've actually visited their their operation down there, and it's tiny.
Yeah,
it's tiny. That's where I got this bottle, actually.
Oh, really? Oh,
I
that's
got this
amazing.
in Kentucky.
You were telling me something about more like, well, I feel like, should we taste it and talk? I want to hear more about like the history of it.
Let's nose it. So it's a rye. So we know because it says a rye that it's at least
51% rye.
Correct.
At least.
Straight rye whiskey. So it's at least 51%.
Okay. So straight rye wouldn't mean 100% rye.
It doesn't have to. Doesn't have to, right? Because you get straight bourbon, which is
corn. Yeah.
You don't eat it. It's corn whiskey's
corn whiskey.
Whiskey.
Yeah.
I didn't even talk about what I smell. It has a very typical rye, though.
Yeah, I was going to say the nose to me is more, I'm getting the spices, and then I got a real sweetness on the first hit of it, and the first tasting.
Yeah.
What do we call it? Hit? No, that's like a drug.
Yeah, no, the first
tasting.
The first mouthing.
The first time we mouthed it.
When I first mouthed this.
When I first mouthed it, 1776.
I first nosed, and then I mouthed.
I nosed it, and then I mouthed it. It was 1770. The year was 1776.
You could say on the front of your palate.
Yeah.
There is a sweetness to it, and then I get a lot of just bready.
Yeah. Then it's this kind of that rye
yeast and rye.
rye bread. Yeah, I mean it's that.
It's
that for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like a sweet rye.
Yeah,
I could.
It's not.
I don't know. I could get a little bit of a fruitiness just at the very beginning, but then it really does go to that peppery, sweet, not peppery like spicy, but like just
yeah. It's No, I get what you're saying. It's a spicy. It's not hot. It's spicy.
Right.
Yeah. So I really like the bottle. I like the packaging that they use here. They're trying to throw it back to 1776. They're trying to throw it back to that era.
It's funny because there's a restaurant here in Crystal Lake called 1776, and the
right,
logo,
it looks just like it, doesn't
almost,
it?
I'm like, did you take it from the bottle?
I mean,
it looks very similar, but maybe there's like only a couple
possible.
fonts that look good in 1776.
I mean, for sure, that's like the typical 1776 font, right? But yeah. Oh, and this one I didn't realize it. So it's 100 proof. It's unfiltered, which is kind of neat. So
I'm getting some corn huskiness in the back
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Wonder if there's a high corn.
And then they don't have a specific age statement on this one, but it says it's aged over 3 years. Down in Lexington, Kentucky. So pretty neat. I think I've said this before on a previous episode. If not, I'll say it now.
Just say it, man.
The James E. Pepper distillery tour was one of my favorites. In fact, I would say that if you only had time for one while you're down on the Bourbon Trail, down in that area, hit this one up because it's a lot of fun.
What made it that great? Was it the tour guide or was it just?
I think there was a couple things. So I think the tour was smaller. It's a little bit shorter because it's a smaller spot. To me, they did something that I hadn't experienced before, which was we got to taste a little bit of stuff right out of the barrel.
Oh, in the thing, the dongle or whatever that is.
Yeah, where they pulled it out.
It's not called a dongle.
We were able to taste that,
That's
and
awesome.
we also got to taste a little bit of the white dog too, which was interesting because it's.
Can you even taste that?
Oh yeah.
Is it not just pure ethanol?
It is.
Well, it's the same
it's like
stuff,
160
I guess.
proof or whatever.
Yeah,
But when you do the whole thing where you put a little bit on your fingers and get the smell and all that kind of stuff, and then you taste it straight out of the barrel. It was a lot of fun. And I think I've said this before. I wasn't a huge fan of rye until I got there and tried a couple of different ryes, and this is really good.
Good
so
stuff.
Ended up picking that. I ended up picking this
Did
bottle
you
up when I was
taste
there.
that one? Was that one of the ones you tasted from the barrel?
I don't think so. I think what I tasted out of the barrel was probably one of the ones that we've tried before, which is their
The bonded one.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. It was bottle and bond, wasn't it? Yeah.
No, you said that before. I remembered.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Someone
weird.
was listening.
Interesting.
That's a first for me.
I think you just listened because you edited the podcast.
I've gone in time and I've told myself, he says this.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So another couple of tidbits that I learned while I was on this tour was
Tidbits.
Whiskey
Bits. Whiskey bits.
bits.
Darn it. Now we got to make it extreme, or what is it called? Exclusive? No. Extreme? No.
Keep going.
That would be a good rating. Extreme.
What else would you like to say?
I don't know.
Explicit.
Explicit. There it is.
That's the one. Whiskey bits.
Deadpool edition. Sorry.
That's good. So a couple other whiskey bits I picked up on this.
Hey, that's a good way to use it. Good job. Let's do that. What are some of the other bits you got from it?
Some other whiskey bits.
What are some of the other whiskey bits you get?
So one was the old fashioned, the cocktail that we all know and love, the whiskey
Love it.
cocktail that we all know and love.
We all know it.
So there's some arguments about this one, but one of them was that in 1880, James E. Pepper was the one that created the old fashioned.
Ooh, okay. That's a big statement.
Pretty cool.
I mean, number 5 in, what did you say, number 5 in Kentucky?
In Kentucky, yeah.
And then was like, hey, so he's there early enough.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so the distillery itself has been around since 1780. So, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so
Wow.
so that was one piece. So the argument is, was it him, or did someone from the Waldorf Astoria bar in New York City?
Waldorf?
What did I say?
Waldorf.
I meant
Waldorf.
Dorf.
Dorsal
Waldorf.
fin.
Yeah.
Dorf's a weird word.
Dorf's yeah, it is.
Waldorf?
What
the heck's a
did
Waldorf?
you ever watch, was it Dorf on Golf? Did you ever watch that guy?
Oh, we have to watch that.
I'm going to have to show you a clip of this later on.
See it.
Anyhow.
So the Waldorf Astoria. Astoria.
Astoria was another place that kind of claims the old fashioned.
Okay.
And now there's some connection there between James Pepper and
Mr. Waldorf Astoria.
and the Waldorfs.
I wonder if Astor.
The Astorias.
I wonder if it's Astor.
Are they not a part of the Hilton line? Wasn't Astoria
Astoria
fact check, please?
is what I read to my kids before they go to bed at night.
Astoria.
Astoria, you know. Anyways,
'Cause you're Italian?
I like it. Borat.
I like it very much.
Nice.
It's very nice.
I like it.
Have you ever been to the Waldorf or the Ritz-Carlton? That's another.
Do I look like somebody who's been to the Ritz-Carlton? I mean, when you asked that question, did you even think for a minute that I'd be like, oh yeah, I frequent that all the time? No, I've never been. I'm sorry, that was so mean.
Have you even
just ripped you apart?
I
feel bad about it.
I stopped paying attention.
I'm over it. No, I've never been. I don't even know where it is.
Have you ever even been to New York City?
Of course I've been to New York City. We should. You know what? We should talk about that in the second half. Oh, is that what you're trying to do? You hit the 15-minute mark. Wait, was this your way of bringing in the joke topic? That was so good, Phil. You did it. Wait, how long have you been trying to transition from the whiskey to the New York joke?
The minute I started bringing up the Waldorf Astoria in New York City,
I did not even know. So we do this thing on the show where Phil talks about the whiskey and then we talk about our everyday lives. We find the funny. And so today's topic we had talked about beforehand was going to be New York, my trip to New York and New Jersey. And usually we try to find a fun transition. Usually I'm doing it in a very obvious way, but Phil decided to do it, and now I'm explaining it. Phil decided to do it, and he did it, but I didn't catch it. You ever hear the phrase "beating a dead horse"? You ever just beat it into the ground?
Yeah,
I think we've killed about 4 horses already this episode.
Have you ever been compared to a dead horse? Because that's what I would like to beat.
I'm about as funny as a dead horse, I think. No, dude, yeah, New York City. Let's talk about it. So this is really good. Okay, transition from that.
Do you want to know anything else about this?
I don't know. What did you
apparently?
Did
no,
you have
I had
anything else?
nothing else about this.
Okay.
But now that you've made it awkward and the transition has been ruined, I'm going to go back to talking about this.
The one time.
So one of the things
you know what it was?
It wasn't even the one time. Every time that I come up with a really good transition that we get to on the fly, you absolutely like, oh, that's a good point, and you 100% destroy it. It sounds so smooth. It sounds so smooth in my head, and I'm like, we're there, and then you ruin it.
This is what I mean. I don't get jokes. I don't get things.
You didn't even need to participate in this until I said, "Have you ever even been to New York City?" And you would have. It could have just triggered. That's what we're talking about.
Should I have just gone and been like,
"Yeah,
dude, in fact, I just went.
I just got back from New York City."
Well, I did. I just got back. Did you have anything else you want to say about that?
So one of the things that we do here on Whiskey Bits is we try to find whiskeys that you can find regularly on a shelf, an everyday whiskey or a shelfer, if you will, for $50 or less. This one comes in right around $30. It is an MGP sourced whiskey, so you're not necessarily looking to spend too much more than that on something like that. But this is $30, and I think it's really good.
It's really good. It's one of those things like if you're going to introduce somebody to whiskey, I think this is one of the earlier ones they should try.
Yeah,
personally.
Yeah,
or a
rye for sure.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, hey, here's a classic starting point of not only classic and starting point of like actual time.
Sure.
I mean 1780, like
right.
They're doing something right for a long period of time, but also just a classic. It has a classic taste. It tastes like it's like, oh, that's experience.
Yeah,
that should be their tagline. 1776. That's experience.
Their tagline is "Born with the Republic."
Born with the Republic,
which is way better than.
It's way better, way cooler. Like, because is it Star Wars? Is it the Republic?
Is that a Star Wars thing? The Republic?
Dude. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah.
There's a cool picture of a snake on the back of it.
It has nothing to do with the Republic.
Oh, you know what? You know what's on here?
What?
I just noticed this.
Yeah, what's the snake about?
So the snake, it looks like, so there's New England, New York, New Jersey. And then it gets down to North Carolina, South Carolina. That must be Virginia.
Which one's the butt?
Well, South Carolina.
Oh, that makes sense because the butt.
So I'd be interested to know what that is. But
yeah,
New York is definitely on there as part of that one.
Maybe it's
this probably has a lot to do with the Revolutionary War, and I'm sure that's because that's all.
I got nothing
right there on the.
Yeah, I got nothing.
One of those.
That's cool,
things.
Man.
Yeah, but
so New York. I was in New York. No, that's really good. This is great. I love the history behind all that. And I think we're going to be getting into a lot of history with some of our upcoming episodes. Like we're going to have some guests on. I'm so excited about.
Okay.
I don't know when, I don't know how, but they're coming.
Mm-hmm.
Can't
wait.
It's gonna be fun. So went to New York for work. Was helping a client set up a podcast. But dude, I gotta tell you, I freaking love. Technically, I was in Jersey, but like it was Carlstadt, so it was like 30 minutes away, even with traffic. And I've been in New York one other time. For when I was doing
that's right.
stand up.
We've talked about that.
Yeah. Eastville Comedy Club, which now is in Brooklyn. They moved it.
Okay.
It used to be down by NYU, but now it's in Brooklyn. Which is cool. But I got to spend a lot of time, more time this time, because the client's freaking amazing. And so we did a lot of stuff setting up their podcast and all of that. But then I had some free time to kind of go down to the city, to go into Manhattan and just, pizza. Oh, the pizza. I love the pizza. It's the best. I'm not even going to do a Trump impression. It's just, of all the pizza in the world, it's the best pizza. I'm sorry. I'm from Illinois, but I'm sorry. Pizza is New York pizza. It is what it is. So sue me. Don't sue me, though. I don't have money. So, the pizza's amazing.
Yeah.
I went to Joe's, which is where they filmed the movie Spider-Man. The first one. Tobey Maguire. Went to that one.
Claire Danes in that one, too.
Claire Danes? Oh my gosh. No, you're thinking, just, you know what? I'm so offended. Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
You knew that.
I do this stuff to annoy you.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Mm-hmm. The Republic's a part of Star Wars?
Yes. You're actually probably a bigger fan than me. No, that's not true. The pizza was amazing. So I had the pizza, of course. The last time I was there, which was like 10 years ago, so this was only a couple weeks ago I was there, but before that, it was about 10 years ago. It was the first time. Accidentally. So the first time I went, I accidentally got on the Staten Island ferry, thinking I was going to Ellis Island, which is where the Statue of Liberty is. Well,
correct.
Staten Island is not Ellis Island.
Correct.
It's completely different. And I was like, we must be taking like a long way around. And no, we weren't. So I did not get to go to the Statue of Liberty. Did not get to go this time either, but I wasn't really there for pleasure. I was there for work. So I was trying to make sure I got the stuff done I needed to. But ended up staying an extra day. I got bagels. Oh, the bagels.
Did you get lox with those bagels?
I did. I went to...
I love a good lox and bagel.
Dude, that was so good. I like the way
cream cheese and the capers.
Salmon, the way they package it up. It's amazing. I was there Monday through Friday.
Plain bagel, everything bagel.
I got my client,
garlic and
amazing, bought me two of those bagels were everything bagels with just plain cream cheese that she bought me, including coffee.
Yeah. Just soft and like
it
has to be the water.
Well, it
has to be
the flavor. That's why I wanted to try the plain bagel, because I was like, okay, what is this? And I really was trying to get the difference in flavor. The thing I noticed wasn't so much about the flavor. It was about the texture, the fluffiness. They're way bigger. They're way more, not fluffy like soft bread, but like fluffy like eating a nice pillow of bagel. Like it is just so good.
Yeah.
But they're way more substantial.
Okay.
That was really
almost
good.
Like a sourdough bagel.
It's something. It wasn't
right.
Maybe it wasn't as like maybe. And again, that's why I wanted to try the plain one, because
And how was it?
It was fantastic. Okay. So I got a plain with cream cheese, a plain lox and bagel.
Yeah.
And then I got 2 everything bagels. I had a lot of bagels. Let's just say, maybe should have had more coffee.
Okay.
Is all I'm saying. There's a lot of cream cheese.
Did you tapped into your Jewish heritage while you were in New York City?
Oh my gosh, thank you for saying that. Yes. That was, in all honesty, so I ended up going to, on my way out, I had left the client. I was literally just driving back to the airport to drop off the car. And I'm like, I'm hungry. It was like 1:00. And so I just literally was just looking for the nearest place. And I saw, okay, this deli. It's in like a little tiny strip mall, super like not at all like big anything, in the middle of, I don't know where the heck I was, Carlstadt, and it's called the Kosher Nosh. Shout out to the Kosher Nosh Deli. Apparently, it's one of the best known delis in Jersey. It was so, first of all, the guy, whoever, he gave me his card. I have it here somewhere. Nicest guy in the world. I go in and it was like I was at like a family reunion. And
That's awesome.
it was just,
That's awesome.
How's it going? Hey, how you doing? What's going on? And like I was like, hey, and it was so cool. And like I haven't really, so again, the food was amazing. Of course I got pastrami, I got matzo ball soup, I got they give you the pickles, they give you the coleslaw and the potato salad. I got it all. There's Dave soda or some sort of soda. I gotta look it up. I can't remember what it is.
Okay.
I'm gonna call the deli and ask them, because
Call them now. I'm sure they're open.
Probably. No, they won't be. But there was some soda brand that I've never seen before that I got, and it was amazing.
Jones's. I'm just joking.
I don't know. It was something like that. Dave's or Jones or Bill's. I don't know.
Jones's has been around for a while.
Yeah.
They're a big one now.
This was like a can.
Oh. Dad's.
No. But oh man, the food was, but I go, what should I get? I'm thinking, he's like, well, you got to get the pastrami. And I'm like, that's what I wanted, because I hadn't had a pastrami sandwich. I kind of forgot that's what I wanted. And it was just so good. And it, sometimes it's like you go and you're like, oh, I'm, it's because of nostalgia that everything tastes good. It's like, it was that, but it was also like, it also tasted amazing.
Yeah.
I owned a pickle company for like 4 or 5 years. Their pickles had unique flavors that I'd never had before. They had a really green one. And then they had like a one that looked more like it was pickled longer. So it was they call it green. They're all green, but green meaning it wasn't pickled as much. Okay. And then they had as more cucumbery. And then the other one was like more pickled, and it was both fantastic. But it just, and I ended up going to Gotham Comedy Club. This was fun. I went to Gotham Comedy Club and I sat right in the front. So like, if this is my chair, you are the stage. And actually, you'd be right here, because like my feet were like this on the stage. And the comics were amazing. And I wanted to be in there like right up front and center, because I was like, I'm in New York. I got to go to a comedy show. I didn't get it. I was looking for places to perform. There wasn't anything kind of last minute, and that's not why I was there. But anyway, so I go up and I ended up hanging out, or I ended up like the last comedian. This guy, if you go to richisfunny.com, I mean, the guy is so freaking hilarious. And so, he was just amazing. And I learned from him, like, for me, like going on stage, like he just brought it. Like he was just energy the whole time. Like, but it wasn't like he was just talking fast or something. It was like, he just had energy. Like he just was, and it wasn't annoying. It just was great, experienced, professional, like super good, and really, really funny. And the guy, he looks like he's got like a mustache and curly hair. He looks, and I kind of was like, he looks like if Borat and Vince Vaughn had a kid. Like that's what he.
Okay.
But richisfunny.com, so funny. So I ended up, I'm gonna stop and start this in a second, because I feel like I want to keep going. I ended up.
Please, we haven't heard enough about you yet.
No. I ended up talking to him after.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, introduce myself. I'm a comedian, blah, 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 blah. And people were coming up to him and stuff. And so then I was like, oh, I'll see you later. I didn't want to be weird. And so he's like, oh, you did you drive? I was like, yeah, I drove. And like, oh, you do anything else? You need a ride? And so I ended up giving him a ride. He was going to then go. So he was performing at Gotham, and then he was going to go to, as I do with strangers, then he was going to go to the Comedy Cellar and perform. And so we're hanging out, and he looks at me and he goes, "You're Jewish, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah. How did you know?" He's like, just you have a way. We could tell. I was like, this is amazing. So between that and like the deli and just the people.
Did you offer to have him stay at your hotel?
I did. Yeah. I was like, dude,
if you're ever in Chicago.
I was like, dude, if you're ever in Chicago, like, let me know. And you
can crash on my couch.
He should be here soon, actually. I got to hang out with him for a little bit, and it was like, even just a few minutes of like connecting with somebody who's doing it really professionally in the city. Mm-hmm. New York has a different energy when it comes to stand up, but like, it was just so cool.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I don't know. It was a fun time. So it was very. I wish I could have gone to Ellis Island. I will get there someday.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to find out more of like when my grandma and all her family came, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
That's awesome.
It was a good trip.
That's awesome.
I'm sure I'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Have you ever been?
I spent an afternoon in New York
Okay.
City once. Met a friend. Met a friend who lived in Connecticut and worked downtown. And so I was just in the area and he met me in the city. I rented a car, drove up into the city, went through the Lincoln Tunnel.
Yes,
And
that is cool.
Found a place to park over by Union Station. So I walked into Union Station and met him because he was taking the train.
I wish I would have done that.
And yeah, it was cool. We walked around a little bit. I felt like we ended up taking the subway.
I love the subway. It's so easy.
Yeah, it's also very weird.
Yeah.
Like
It's a grid.
What I meant by weird is the people.
Oh.
The people on the subway, the things that happen in New York that you just would never believe happened.
Yeah.
They happen. And they happen all the time. And around.
I never see it.
You look around and you're like, this is really happening. And nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Like somebody just peeing in the middle of the subway or something?
No, not even that. I mean, I'm sure that happens. That happens in Chicago too.
Yeah.
I mean, the the Metro train, man, it's a stinky place.
Goodness.
But no, I want to. So I'm trying to remember the exact details, and I don't. It was. I mean, we're talking about 15 years ago now.
So long ago.
Like, yeah, it was
almost a decade.
Long time ago. Almost a decade. You really aren't smart.
Coming down.
And
coming down, it's like, 15's close to 10.
Yeah.
Continue.
It's almost a decade would be 9 years. It's almost 2 decades would be 18 years.
But wouldn't 11 also be almost a decade?
It'd be over a decade. You would just say over a decade. Whatever. It was 15 years ago, so I don't remember the exact details.
You can't reason with this, Phil. You can't reason with this.
And I just remember sitting there listening to a guy was helping a child. Yeah, so to get off the stop, and this child's mom did not get up. And so this guy was like, "Oh, your mom's still on," and like kind of directed him back. And so now the mom and this dude are just yelling at each other, like, "Don't touch my kid and leave him alone." And like, you shouldn't have done that. It's like, well, I was just trying to prevent your kid from getting off of the stop, and you would never find him again because you wouldn't have gotten. And she's like, "That's not the point." And I'm just sitting there like watching all this stuff happening, and my friend who can tell like I'm a little out of my element, but he's like, "This stuff happens all the time. This stuff is." He kind of pulls me aside. He's like, "No, man, this isn't abnormal. Like, I see the look on your face. You don't have to have that look on your face. This is normal."
That's crazy.
And I'm just watching this whole thing go down, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, I've seen," and he would tell me stories about like, "I've seen this, I've seen this, I've seen this." Just wild stories on there. So we took the subway down to like the financial district and walked around like the World Trade Center area. That was. So I want to say like that was before the memorial was maybe completed.
Quiet, right? Was it quiet? Do you remember it being very quiet?
It was a Saturday.
Okay.
So yeah.
I just remember being down there, and it was very.
Because you were 10 years, which was like almost a decade.
I mean, we probably were down near the same time because it was before the memorial too.
Okay.
And it was very eerily quiet.
Okay.
Just that whole southern tip of Manhattan.
Yeah. Anyway, so we walked around there, and like, yeah, it wasn't completed yet. It was still kind of, boarded up or like,
right.
or like there were huge
there's
fences or whatever
stuff everywhere. Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting. And then we went up into, kind of went to Midtown and like Times Square.
Yep. Times Square is cool. Did you do
grab some food and
Central Park?
No, didn't make it over there. Central Park.
I like Central Park a lot.
Yeah, I was like, just get me like a couple of the really cool spots, and like these are the ones that I'd like to see, and this is some of the stuff I'd like to do. But more it was like, let's just hang out.
Did you do 30 Rock?
No. Did you?
Dude, yes.
This time or
Yeah, both times.
okay,
Well,
so almost a decade ago, and then 6 to 8 months ago last week.
yeah.
Okay.
16. Yeah. So, I went this time, and because I had walked down, so I thought I'm only gonna get a day, is what I thought, and it ended up being I didn't get down there till like 6 or 7 o'clock,
Oh,
and it was
hadn't
getting
even started.
well, but it was like I wanted to go to Central Park. I ended up parking on 40th and walking all the way to Central Park, but I checked out Times Square and all that stuff. Got to Central Park right as like the sun was kind of going down. Got some good pictures, whatever. Walked back. That's where I stopped at the one liquor store, Central Perk liquor store, which is funny. I'm like, how do you not get sued by friends? And then on the way,
Because they're not a coffee shop.
And then on that same walk, I met a celeb, which was kind of cool. Matt Matthews, he's a comedian. He's like a famous Instagrammer. I'd seen him in Times Square taking pictures with people. I was like, who's this guy? And they're like, look on the board, on the screens. And I was like, oh, there he is. And some famous TikToker that got famous for doing boudoir photography and then decided, I'm going to do stand-up. I'm like, okay, cool. So maybe I should do boudoir photography.
Please.
Go switch it.
I can't wait.
Yeah, my name's Matt. Might as well. Okay. That's what I'm going to do.
It's true.
Do you need any for yourself? Can I take some of you? Some
Oh,
boudoir?
he shot it. He wasn't the subject?
No, he wasn't the subject. He was the photographer.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah. Just interesting. So I met him. That was kind of cool. And then, actually not. No, it was kind of cool. And then I went to 30 Rock. I didn't know who he was. I was like, oh, you're the guy from The Thing. He's like, yeah. I was like, cool. I literally said that. Because I'm like, I don't know who you are. But
That might be the best way of saying anything. Oh, yeah, you're the guy from The Thing.
yeah, because he was down. I mean, he knew what I meant because he was down. Anyways. And so then I was like, I'm going to go to 30 Rock. And I was like, I don't even know if it's open. It's open till midnight. You can walk around on the inside.
Interesting.
And so I went in, and again, it was like, it's hard to describe this feeling because I went in, this is where they filmed, SNL, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers,
30 Rock.
30 Rock, obviously. All these shows,
Yeah.
among other things.
Yeah.
All these people that have walked through here, and I'm not like trying to say I'm like worshiping or idolizing these people, but it's more of you're in this space where you're so close to stuff that's happening that is kind of like the dream of what you want to do. SNL or being on the Tonight Show as a comedian, like those are goals. Like Tonight Show is actually one of my next goals that I want to achieve. And it's not that far off as far as like being able to do it. But you're so close when you're in there. And so there's almost this like longing or sadness or something that's just like, I want to stay. Like, I didn't want to leave. Like, I was just walking around and like, there's really nothing to see. But it was just like being there was like, And so I ended up walking in the center of the building. They have shops downstairs, but then in the center, like the main floor, the first floor, there's the elevators which you've probably seen in all the shows and all that stuff.
Sure.
And there were 4 security guards there, young guys, like maybe one of them was my age and the rest were younger. So I ended up just chatting, and then there was like a police officer standing near, and he was just like guarding the air or something. And I was like, okay. And but I ended up chatting with the 4 of them for like 20 minutes and just joking around and telling them about myself and telling them what I was doing and why I was in town, all this stuff. But just like I ended up like kind of, me, like I get a crowd, even if it's 2 people or even 1, and if I get any laughter at all, then I'm like, oh, it's on. Let's do this. And so I just was fun, and it was just making them laugh. And I was like, it was like Michael Scott, and he's like, but I was like, I made the people laugh in the building where they make people laugh. And it was the security guard, elevator people. They were so cool. But it was, but that's what I think made it even harder was like, I'm right there. I'm so close to like, does anybody else? One was like, anybody else hear this? Not that I'm like the funniest person in the world, but I'm like, it'd be like if you went, I don't know, if you went to the,
this is going to be really good. This is gonna be really good because I want to hear. No, hold on. Before I've set this one up. I want to hear what you're gonna say. Please don't change it after hearing this. Okay?
Because I have two paths.
But what's gonna be really interesting is what you equate. My dream scenario location to be. This will be really, really interesting. I cannot wait to hear.
I'll tell you what my first thought was.
I want to hear both thoughts.
Well, then I'll tell you the second one.
Yeah.
You tell me what you think your first. So my first thought was this would be like you going to the Masters, and like being by Tiger Woods and all these guys, and being like, hey Phil, like why don't you come on out and putt with us for a little bit, hang out with the caddies.
Okay.
Like you hanging out with the caddies at the Masters.
Okay.
All right.
All
because I know you love golf. I
Sure.
know that's probably not your dream, but like that was the first thing. The second thing was this would be like if you went to the heart catheter conference of the world and you were like around the top heart catheter salesman, but it was like their secretary and you were just like hanging out with their secretaries, the heart catheter secretary, and you're like, man, yeah, aren't these heart catheters? They're pretty good, right? Yeah. Selling them, man.
So what's interesting? That's really, really funny. I gotta tell you, I'm quite impressed. The first one was way better than the second.
Was it spot on?
I think it was pretty close.
I mean, you love golf. I don't know if that's your dream. No, I don't even want to be a golfer, but
being at the Masters, I think would be incredible.
Yeah.
To be a part of something like that wasn't just a spectator, like
right.
where, like you're saying, where it's a kind of a VIP and like yeah, I get that.
The
it's
heart
hilarious.
catheter
the
thing
heart catheter thing, like I do that every year.
You talk to the assistants of the heart catheter doctor?
Not assistants.
Oh.
No. I just talk to
them.
them
Straight to the doctors, man.
Right.
That's
I
high roller.
I know a lot of them, and that's,
in the
like,
heart
that's my
catheter
space.
world.
It's kind of my space.
You're kind of a big deal.
I don't. You almost. So I know you were going. I know.
I was going Anchorman.
I know you were going Anchorman.
Kind of a big
deal. But you had a really close to Trump version of it.
I know.
Which was fun.
Of all the heart catheters, Phil's the greatest.
That's not a bad one.
It's
that's
okay.
Better than the last one.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. No, so that I think that's right, and I think it's most right because I did go and play at a TPC, the TPC in Scottsdale, where they have the waste management tournaments. Anyways,
wait, what does TPC stand for?
The Players Club.
Oh, not the paper company.
No.
Okay. I don't know.
TPC Scottsdale.
Toilet paper company.
Yeah, where the
waste. You said waste management, toilet paper company.
Oh, yeah, the Waste Management Open is it's a golf tournament that they play in Scottsdale, Arizona.
But Waste Management sponsors it.
Correct.
So they call it the way. We have got to stop letting companies sponsor buildings and events.
So we got to play there.
Okay.
And went into the locker room, and the locker room's just the locker room, right?
Bunch of naked dudes.
No, there was nobody there.
Oh, okay.
But it's a locker room. So who has their names on lockers are anybody that's won in the tournament. Has their own locker there.
Oh, wow.
So we walked around and like, oh, look, there's Phil Mickelson's locker.
Dude.
And there's Vijay Singh's locker. And there's Tony. Yeah. So it was like.
Tony Danza.
Yeah. So you could see all of these names and the years that they won. Wow. And you're like, wow. Like,
it's like a trophy locker.
I wonder. It's not, though. It's their actual
They
locker.
actually use it.
Yeah. When they come back, they get their own locker. Dude. They go put their stuff in there. I'm sitting there like, wow, this is kind of neat. Like, they may have their stuff in there. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of walking around looking at these people and they've got like their underwear still in there.
I might be able to take $5 from Tiger Woods' wallet. Oh gosh, Phil's going around sniffing lockers.
I bet they're shoes. You know, who knows, right? Like, I have no idea that maybe they're empty. You know, there's no way of knowing. But there was sort of that moment.
Maybe
like,
they're a bully and they locked their caddy in there and they're like waiting to get out, but they can't.
Yeah, Matt Kuchar, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah. That's okay. He famously didn't pay one of his caddies after he won a tournament. Anyways, it was a.
He is not. He is not welcome on the show.
It's a rumor. It's a thing that people make fun of, but like he actually did take care of it. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
He's a nice guy.
It was funny.
You're welcome anytime, Matt.
Any golf fans will get the joke.
Yeah.
Which is no, you didn't. But yeah, I think if I were invited out to
the Masters, you would love it.
Yeah, and like, hey, would you like to caddy, or would you like to hang out with the caddies, or hang out with the the guys that know the caddies. Like,
Even
I know what you're saying. Like,
yeah, it was
to
like
be near greatness of something that I admire.
Yeah, it was
Sure.
It was like I know that the people that I want to perform with someday, like I know that they've seen all these people, and so it's just that kind of 6 degree of separation where it's like just it feels like it's right there, but and that idea that like I'm so close, but yet I feel so far away. But that was before I went to Gotham and met Rich and kind of hung out with him for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he just made just as a dude, like he's just a good guy and like made a big impact on just encouraging me as a comedian. He wasn't saying anything that was like, oh yeah, like keep doing it. It was just we hung out, but like just watching him perform. It's like if I go to a movie, I get re-inspired to continue pursuing acting or whatever. And I knew this, going to Gotham, that's why I sat right in the front, because I'm like, I want to be as close as I possibly can to this, because I know I need some encouragement in that area.
Mm-hmm.
I don't live in the city, so I'm not going out every night performing, every single night at every club. It's just not. I have a wife, 3 kids. I can't, until I can make it a full-time thing, maybe, but so I need that reinvigoration. And just observing a pro was like, I need to push myself a little more as far as the energy goes.
Yeah.
Because that's what I have in me anyways.
Yeah.
I think I've tried to, like, when I started, I was emulating, you always start out emulating the comics you like, Seinfeld, Ray Romano, whatever. But you have to make it your own. And so I've been trying to figure out what is that for me. And I think, obviously, I have a lot of energy, and it needs to, whereas I've been kind of trying to be a little more chill, kind of slow. I'm like, nope, I need to just let the energy come out. And he was that way. And I was like, yes, this is how you do it in a good way. So it was cool. It was just an encouraging thing, and it was fun. And the tip of the iceberg, top it all off, was that deli. It was just, it was so good.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I was at home or something. Because, my grandma's been dead for a long time. And that side of the family, I never really got to. But it made me want to, like, really learn more about my Jewish heritage and even, like, traditions and, like, things that I know Jesus did as a Jew, that it's like, as a Christian and a Jew, it's okay to do these things. Like, whatever that is, whether it's Shabbat or even like, Seder's or whatever. I've done that before. So I don't know. So it was kind of cool.
That's great.
It was a fun trip.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you get to do that and get to make the most of a work trip.
Yeah, and
That's
sorry
good.
about the person on the subway peeing on you or something, or no, they kicked the kid out. Someone punched a kid on a subway. I mean that, but you know what? That's New York.
It's not surprising that you don't know the story.
I remember they were like, "Oh, my kid, that's your kid." Well, I want to help get him up. Everybody's like, "Hey, man, this happens. This happens.
This happens."
The whiskey was good.
It was so good we finished it. We don't even get to cheers anything with it in there because we could pretend. Fill these up in post.
Good times.
Bye, Matt.
This was fun.
This was a good time.
All right.
Bye, Matt.
Bye. Next time on Whiskey Bits.
You wanted to have some fun?
Yeah, what are we doing, man?
We're going to do a little taste test.
Ooh.
Little taste test of a brand that I actually haven't tried. I have all of the different varieties, but I've never tried these varieties.
You just bought them and you're like, meh. That's the way you live, though, man. You just shelling out cash.
Well, what do we know about this bourbon project that we're on right now? We know that we're going for everyday whiskeys under $50.
You're just trying to talk past the fact that you can just drop Benjamins. And you don't even need to taste them.
This bottle, this lineup right here, under $100 for all 4 bottles.
Wow. Oh, okay. All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in to Whiskey Bits. Please like, share, and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts.